TwylaMae's catnip plant.
Well, here we are in southwestern Ontario. Bob's garden. Here's Bob. We're here to talk about this plant right here. What is this, Bob?
That's a catnip plant.
Catnip plant. It's a pretty bushy plant.
Well, it wasn't when it started in the springtime. It was only about a couple of inches off the ground.
Oh yeah?
And very, very tiny.
So this all grew in one season?
Yep.
From just the ground up?
Yep, and I've cut off chunks of it and given it to other people that have cats.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So is this how big it's supposed to? Is this a normal size for a cat?
It's about the size. It gets a little tiny catnip plant. One little root, one little catnip plant. If you bought it at a garden center or somewhere, it would cost you next to nothing.
Yeah.
And you planted it in the ground, and it would get this big, if not bigger, in one season.
Right. So you wanted to have this in your garden, right? This was on purpose.
Well, I have a cat, and the cat, my cat's very stressed.
Oh yeah.
And it was a rescue cat.
Right.
And it's afraid of everything, and it needed something to calm it down. So this is kind of like marijuana for people.
Yeah, for
catnip
cats.
for cats. I have an aunt who has several cats, and she took a little, maybe a stalk like this.
Yeah.
From it the other day, and what she does is she pulls all the leaves off.
Yeah.
And lays them out in the sun and dries them, washes them, and then lays them out in the sun, and they sort of shrivel up and dry and turn, very flaky. And then she puts them in little bags and
just gives them to the cats.
And gives a little bit. Like my cat would eat maybe one of these leaves in a day.
Right.
And you could take it and break it into little pieces and give it to the cat, and the cat would eat it, and then that would calm her down.
Yeah.
Some cats like to, when you first get them, catnip plants, they like to roll around in the catnip.
Yeah.
Because there's a chemical on the leaves, and it makes them feel really, really, really relaxed.
So I could see this sort of growing in a ditch or something. Is this considered a weed, or is this?
Yeah, it's a weed, and I guess a weed is anything that people don't want.
Right.
So some people don't want lots of plants in their garden, and they call them weeds, and they pull them out, but they're not.
Right. It's like a supply and demand thing.
Yeah, like a goldenrod or.
Right. They call them weeds.
They call them weeds.
But would this be something you could see growing on the side of the highway, or is this?
Yep.
So this can grow anywhere around here.
Pretty much. We're in zone 5B.
Right.
Hardiness zone 5B, which means somebody has categorized plants into hardiness zones. The environment and the weather conditions that favor that plant.
Yeah.
They do that all over the world. So this one likes this area.
Yeah.
And you could probably grow it almost anywhere, and it wouldn't be much work.
Right, so it's not a real.
Too much water. You don't even have to water it. Whatever water it gets from the moisture in the air or rain or whatever is good enough.
So this thing just does its own thing.
Look, that's pretty good, eh? It doesn't wilt.
Yeah.
Some plants, like there's some over in the bushes over there.
Yeah.
Members of the sumac family.
Right.
They if they don't get water, they just fall over and lie there like they're dead until they get water, and then they spring up again.
Right.
This thing never.
Because it's mid-September now, so this thing looks like it's doing pretty good, even though it's kind of cold out.
And you can also the bees.
Bees love it.
Love it, and they pollinate it, so they carry around the pollen and drop it on other areas of the garden and other places. And this is the seeds are coming from these flowers.
Right.
Just shake them and they'll grow more.
Right, so it's a pretty...
Wait a minute, I'll show you some seeds. See they're little way like those.
So the cats don't eat those things.
No, the cats only like the leaves.
Cats eat the leaves, the bees like the flowers. Thing grows like a weed, but it could be considered not a weed. You wouldn't go to a garden store and pick up a catnip, would you?
Well, some people would, but that would be ridiculous, because you could just ask people if they have a catnip plant in their yard, and if they do, can they give you a little piece?
Right.
And then that's all you need, and you'll get a plant like this, and then you can start giving it away. You don't need this much. Like my cat, remember, 1 leaf a day would be all it would be interested in.
And how often does the cat actually eat a leaf off this thing? Like,
oh, every day. If you, it tries to eat it itself, but cats aren't too good at chewing on things that are growing like grasses and plants like this. If you took the leaf off and you broke it up into tiny little pieces.
like it prefers it to be like kind of.
Yeah, and then it would kind of eat it. Cats have trouble
right
with little things.
So is there many like around this plant? Is there like ever a lot of weeds around this plant? Like, it looks like you couldn't even tell the difference between a weed and growing in this plant, or
first
what?
of all, most of the time,
Yeah.
it has a smell to it.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's kind of, I think it's part of the mint family too. The mint plants. I have a couple of mints over there.
Yeah.
There's about 30 or 40 different kinds of mints that grow around here.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can't kill those.
Right.
You can't
Right.
kill a mint family plant.
Right. So it's a pretty like
like
hardy plant. Just likes
very,
to
very hardy.
grow, and it's like, it doesn't matter if it's even that cold. Like right now it's kind of chilly. It doesn't seem to be too like.
I haven't had one before. This is my first year.
Oh, is it? Does it like so?
I buy catnip
Yeah.
in pet stores,
Yeah.
and they put catnip in different treats and things
Yeah.
for cats. But by the way, dogs aren't attracted to it.
They're not.
No.
Are you going to purposely hack this thing down at some point?
No, I'm just going to leave it and just see what happens.
Because I've seen you hack other
As
things
soon as it
down.
gets cold, if it starts to wilt and shrivel up, I'll
Yeah.
just cut it right down so it's about a couple of inches off the ground.
Yeah.
And I might take it and dry out the leaves and use it in the wintertime for my
Oh,
cat.
there's even a bumblebee right there.
But I can cut it right down, and then
yeah.
next year it'll grow again, and it'll get even bigger.
Right, so it'll be
By
back next
bigger,
year.
I mean it'll get wider. It won't get much higher than that.
So how much longer are you going to give it before it kind of keels over?
I'm not going to touch it until
leave it?
the cold wilts it.
So it might even last another couple months, eh? Like this?
It might, but I
if
doubt
the
it.
weather
'cause
holds?
the weather's been very different in this area in the last couple of years. And I got a feeling that we're going to have a frost
Sooner than later?
maybe by the end of the week.
Oh.
And this is only what?
September 14th, I think it is.
Maybe by the end of the week. Tomorrow is supposed to be a low of 3,
Oh.
and they talk about frost.
Well, this thing's about 3 feet high. Looks pretty good, and I guess the cat likes it. All the bugs like it. That bee likes it.
Well, the bee likes the flowers.
Yeah, but so I guess it's part weed, but it depends on how you view it. But it's a nice plant. Doesn't cause any trouble really.
My advice to people who have cats is to get a catnip
Plant. Just 'cause
plant, a little piece, and plant it either in the house in a pot
yeah.
or in the garden
Yeah.
or in both places, and maybe some grasses too. Cats like to come out and chew on grass,
Yeah.
and it helps them with their digestion. It makes them sometimes throw up, which is good for them every once in a while. For hairballs and things.
Nice. Well,
Anyway,
thanks.
there's the cat.
Thanks for the tips.
Oh,
Let's
by
hear
the way,
it.
I wanted to show you. I made a little sign. My cat is called TwylaMae, and I drew a picture of her.
Oh, it's very
And there's
nice.
her name, TwylaMae loves catnip.
Right, so she likes to swing by every day or so and take a nibble.
Well, I sometimes I forget what my plants are because I have so many of them, and I was
That's
going to
true.
make a sign for all of them, but I never got around to it.
Cool. Well, thanks for the info.